Welcome to the first day as we kickstart this International Youth Week. We are very, very pleased to have you on board, and we'll start even as the rest continue to log in. It's always good to honor people's time, and we had promised to begin at 9 o'clock, and we can see people are still logging in. So you're very, very welcome. So allow me to start with a short prayer, and then we will kickstart this morning session. Let's pray. Lord, we thank you for this morning. We thank you for the gift of life. We thank you for allowing us to have this day, allowing us to be able to congregate here together as the youth and just to learn together. And we pray, Lord, that even as we begin, may you bless everything that we do together, and may it be enriching to our hearts and to our minds. For this we've prayed in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, let's continue introducing ourselves. But even as we do that, I invite my co-hosts on this International Youth Week. My name is Lorraine Kirikia. I'm the Chief Visionary Officer for Epic Lorraine Life Events. So I invite Mr. Wilson Harry to introduce Team Set Africa. Karibu, Wilson.
Thank you so much, Lorraine. My name is Wilson Harry. I'm the Project Manager of Team Set Africa. And it's a pleasure to be with you guys in this session. I think everyone is logging in. We're going to reach the number that we had seen yesterday. But yeah, as you've heard, I'm a project manager and founding partner. The rest of the team are with me, but because of convenience, maybe just handle the introduction part of TeamSet. So what TeamSet does, we are a young company that basically train the youth on ICT and innovation. We sort of like understand that by 2030, 230 million jobs are going to require youths or people to be aware of digital literacy skills. So we took the initiative to step forward so that we can help our fellow youths navigate around that area, so that we can bridge that gap and become the players in making that thing possible in Africa. So basically how we operate is we go to places telling the youth about how to use a computer. We arrange for entrepreneurship boot camps. We arrange for career talks so that we can make people understand what is entailed in the tech part. We also are bridging the gap in women in STEM and women in IT courses, especially because we believe that area is not yet fully occupied. We need to make sure our women, our ladies, and the girls are able to take up into STEM, and particularly in technology, which is IT, software engineering, software development, and all that. So that is also what we cover as TeamSet. We also provide ICT consultancy services, and we do consultancy as well. So we range from services including creating websites. We create apps, we do systems, just to mention a few. But basically what we are doing right now is using the basic unit economic issue of just to revenue projection and revenue generation to come back to help the youth. So most of the income we get from our projects, we sort of align them back to the youth so that we can work with the aim of making a digital inclusive Africa. So basically that's what I can say for now. Maybe just handing it back to you, Lorraine. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for that introduction on what Team Set Africa does. It's a great honor for Epic Lorraine Life Events to be partnering with you, such a young company. We really are privileged to be working with you. So a little bit about Epic Lorraine Life Events. We are a service sector company specialized in project management, bursary fund management, operation support, and organizing memorable events such as this one. EL recognizes the significance of cultural pride, cultural heritage, social unity, youth empowerment, support of the elderly, and celebration of life-defining events. Our mission is to consistently deliver value-driven, bespoke services that suit the uniqueness and peculiarities of each client's needs. And this is seen in our values, which are relationships, confidentiality, reliability, and compassion. EL focuses on unique events, most of which fall on the annual calendar and are marked globally. We turn them into epic events that touch and inspire. International Youth Day is one of the events ELL will be celebrating this year, which is on August 9th, or rather August 12th, but we are beginning on August 9th so that then throughout the week we can address the different issues that are affecting the youth today. So ladies and gentlemen, you're very, very welcome to join us this week as we begin. So now allow me to then very quickly introduce our keynote speaker. Her name, and she is a wonderful friend of mine, a mentor, and I even call her mom on most occasions. Dr. Gladys Mwiti is a PhD consulting clinical psychologist. She's also the founder and CEO of Oasis Africa Center for Transformational Psychology and Trauma that houses an active psychological clinic and a robust corporate organizational employee wellness program. Dr. Gladys Mwiti obtained her PhD in clinical psychology from the Graduate School of Psychology, Fuller Theological Seminary, Pasadena in California. She also has a master's degree in integration theology from the same university, and a master's degree in counseling psychology and a bachelor's degree in psychology, both from the United States International University, Africa, that's USIU. She also has an approved higher diploma in education from Kenyatta University, right here in Kenya. Dr. Gladys Mwiti has authored 5 books. She's also written a couple of journal articles and book chapters. Dr. Mwiti is an internationally preferred speaker, trainer, and professional supervisor in her field. She's the immediate past chairperson of the Kenya Psychological Association, that's KPA. She is the chairperson of the Traumatic Stress Society of Kenya. She is the immediate past member of the board of directors from the International Society for Traumatic Stress Studies. She is the co-chair of the Lausanne Congress for World Evangelization Mental Health and Trauma Issue Group. She's a member of the Child Fund Board Kenya. She's also a member of Langham Partnership International Council, and she's a recipient of several international awards in scholarship and leadership in psychology and trauma. She's also one of 8 global trauma ambassadors for the International Society for Traumatic Stress Studies. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great, great, distinct honor for us to be welcoming such a qualified specialist in this area, Dr. Gladys Mwiti. Put your hands together and let's give her a warm welcome. Karibu sana, Dr. Gladys.
For that robust introduction. And it's good to meet everyone this morning. There's a bit of sunshine where I live. I hope there's a bit of sunshine where you live, meaning that today will be a warmer day. Yeah, I was asked to share or to speak on mental health and holistic wellness with a focus on young people. And Lauren, you can hear me? Lauren?
Yeah, we can get you quite well, Dr.
Okay,
Everything's
excellent,
okay.
Yes, we can hear you, yes.
Yeah, you know, when you don't see faces, you're looking at your screen, don't realize people are hearing you. So, but you can also see the screen?
Yes, we can, Dr. Ray.
Okay, excellent. So I was asked to speak on mental health and holistic wellness. And we know this is a critical subject at this point in time because of the obvious need that there is in our society today. And it's not just here, here in Kenya, but all over the world. So what I'll do is I'll share, and when I ask you to engage, please do so. At some point, I may ask you to go to the chat room and say something about some of the things that I'll be sharing. So go to the chat room and share. I want to find my icons. Anyway, let's carry on. I'll be able to find them in a bit. Sometimes the screen's off, the icons, but we'll see what happens. Okay, so I'm from Oasis Africa. That's my organization. Started it in 1990, many years ago, before a good number of us here were born. And basically, my reason for starting Oasis Africa was because of the need I saw. You had that have a diploma in education. I started my career as a teacher. And because of so many children that I saw with the challenges, I'm a Christian too. So it's like when I went to the classroom, I would want to engage the whole child. I want to know, why aren't you doing well? Why do you look sad? And so on and so forth. And so when you ask questions like that, you get many, 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 many answers. And some of the answers I got were actually not encouraging. I taught physics and chemistry, and I did not have skills. And then there were no counselors, there were no psychologists, a few scattered psychiatrists, but we don't send children to psychiatrists unless they're chronically mentally ill. And so I found myself engaged in struggles of trying to see how to help children. So I left the classroom and went back to university, studied psychology all the way from bachelor's, then started Oasis after my master's, and then later on I got my PhD. So that's what I do at Oasis Africa. Check us out. We have our website there, and also telephone number, which I'll give you at the end of this for your own use, and also for the use of anyone else who might need our services. Okay, so we'll begin with asking, what is wellness? Because when we talk of mental health, we are talking of mental wellness. So basically wellness in a holistic way, that is looking at the whole person, is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. That's a definition from the World Health Organization. So just look at that, complete physical. Now, no one is completely well, so you can put wellness on a continuum, beginning from the very worst to the very best, or maybe, yeah, from one end to the other, where you are really sick, or maybe over the other side, not even alive, but then 100% where you are totally complete. No one is ever totally complete. All of us move between 0 and 100. And so the more closer you are to 0, the worse the person is. More closer you are to 100, the better off. So what we are saying here is that a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being is what we strive to become. We work very hard to become that, physically, mentally, socially. Now we looked at holistic wellness. How about mental wellness? According to the World Health Organization, mental wellness is defined as a state of well-being in which the individual realizes their own abilities, can cope with the normal stresses of life, can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution to his whole community. So just again, let that sink in. When someone doesn't know they're able, they will struggle with identity, they will struggle with performance. When one is not able to cope, they'll be more and more stressed. If one is not able to wake up and go to work or be focused in life, they also have mental health challenges. And then they need to be able to contribute to their community. So let that enter our minds, because sometimes we say, I'm not going to look for a counselor or a psychologist because I'm not crazy. Psychologists do not work with crazy people. And by the way, in our midst today, we have one of our psychologists at Oasis Africa, Dr. Priscilla Mogambi, who will be sitting with you in discussion later. And you can ask her as many questions as you want. So we do not work with crazy people. We work with people who are normal, but challenged in life. In Kenya today, there's a lot of emphasis on mental illness, hospitalization, medication. That is the other now. That is a continuum of mental illness, which is closer to 0, where people are sick. But many Kenyans are not struggling with mental sickness. they are struggling with coping abilities, normal life stresses. Now, if those take over, and if there is more of stress than normal coping, then you are pushing the graph towards zero, where actually people become sick. So we need to ensure that as many people as possible know how to recognize their stress so that they do not push themselves towards illness. And that is one of the major purposes of this forum, even as Lorraine told me. And then mental is thinking, cognitive, we call it, but there's emotional, what we feel, our feelings. Now, emotional wellness is awareness and the practice of self-care. How much do we relax when we are stressed? How much do we reduce our stress? How much do we develop our inner strength and resilience? That is emotional wellness. We're able to express our emotions when we are sad. We are able to rejoice when something good happens. And so we are pushing ourselves to be able to wake up in the morning with a good feeling that, wow, what a wonderful day, I'm gonna be happy. Now, that ability to manage our emotions and to cope with life challenges is what makes us resilient. What is resilience? Resilience is the ability to bounce back to normal functioning after an adversity. So the way we are able to actually, if we are pulled like a rubber band, when you release a fresh rubber band, it goes back to the original size. But then if it is an old tired rubber band, if you pull it, it will snap. So resilience means how healthy are we so that even when we are hit by circumstance, a life circumstance, we are able to bounce back to wellness. Now, even as I speak, you can go to the chat room, put down your questions or some responses, and when I'm done, I'll go there and run through them, depending on how much time we have. If I'm not able to, then Dr. Priscilla is here. She can pick them up during discussion time. So this is where now I say to go use your chat room and ask yourself, what threatens our emotional wellness? Write some ideas in the chat room. So if you can go there right now, I'll give you a few minutes and I'll get off full screen so that I can look at your chat room, because somehow it's not giving me that option right now with the full screen. So go there and write for me, what do you think threatens our mental and emotional wellness? If you engage, then it means that you're going to be taking away something powerful for yourself today. So I'll give you a minute or so. Just go there. You're young people, key in quickly. What makes us feel bad mentally? What makes us feel bad emotionally? Just go to the chat room and do that for me. Okay, I'll go back and check your response later. So for now, I'll give you some time just to think about it, what threatens our wellness. Okay, let me say something before even I go to some of the threats to our wellness about our actions. And I'm saying this because you're young people, you're active. Actions come from our thoughts and our feelings. Actions can be healthy. For example, if you think, I like my friend, I plan to call him today, that's a healthy action that came from a healthy thought. Actions can also be unhealthy. For example, I hate her for telling on me. I will avoid her from now. That's an action that came from an unhealthy thought. Now, if you say, I like my friend, I'm going to call him today, that gives you joy and you look forward to calling your friend. That's a good feeling. If you think, I don't like so and so for telling on me, I'll avoid them. That leads to sadness. You don't feel happy that you're not, that you're avoiding anyone. So what I want to say is that feelings result from our actions and our thoughts, especially our thoughts. I called my friend, I'm happy, or I avoided her and I'm sad. So mental health is our thinking, and thinking what we think is how we act. And so you need to be very, very careful what we do with our mental health, our thinking capacity. So what is mental health and why is it important? So again, go to the chat room, I'll look at your responses later. Why is it important that I think right, that I don't think bad thoughts? Why is it important that I don't look at don't despise myself? No one likes me anymore. That's a thought. Because then I'm going to be avoiding people. Why is it not good to say I'm a failure and keep telling myself I'm a failure? Because if I think I'm a failure, I will not face life challenges. So you can see the thinking, the actions, and then if I'm not facing challenges, life challenges, I'll feel bad about myself that I'm not achieving anything. Keep that in your mind. So why is mental health important? Good mental health enriches our relationships, and you can see it improves our work, it improves our study and our motivation. Because if I'm saying, okay, I'm going through challenges right now, but I know I'll come out okay. Then when I meet people, I'll not be using them or despising them, but I'll ask, how can they assist me in my work, study, and motivation, and how can I assist them? Poor mental health then affects our ability to communicate, and it can lead to breakdown of healthy functioning that threatens our future, even our current lives. Our ability to plan for the future and remain focused depends on our mental health. And that's why I believe that we told Noreen, hey, let's talk about this, because these days, so many people are challenged in their mental health. Okay, what then interferes with mental health? Let me give you some examples of factors, and you can think of more. Too much anxiety and stress. Take, for example, reactions to COVID-19. I'm afraid I may get COVID, or what happens if my parents die. And some of us, by the way, have lost relatives on this forum right now. We are going through grief. I've got their trauma and the loss. But then also the use of drugs and alcohol, the addictions is a big threat to mental health today. So you can see the underlying thing there is keep away from drugs and alcohol. Abuse. If you have lived in an abusive relationship or living in one, or went through abusive parenting. Neglect, where we feel no one cares for us. Trauma and loss. Trauma is our reaction, emotional reaction and cognitive impact when something happens to us that threatens our life. Accidents, robberies, even accidental loss of someone. Risky behavior that leads to rejection. And young people can be tempted to be risky. And then hopelessness and the loss of life's purpose can threaten our wellness. So think of more. Again, go to the chat room and put down a question there or a comment. Okay, you need to have a holistic approach to wellness, and there are 6 facets. You can see it's like a circle, wholeness, but there are 6 dimensions in there: the physical, emotional, intellectual, spiritual, social, occupational. So we need to look at all those and remember that all these affect our wellness. If you are not well physically, we'll be emotionally feel low. Our mind to think will be affected. Spirituality, we feel like nobody cares anymore. Socially, our friendships are affected, and even our work is affected. So remember that we don't just talk of one area of our living or emphasize only one area, we emphasize the whole. So let's go to self-care then. And by the way, I'm being simple and brief because I want you to take home something. And even as we continue, I like to tell people, can you put down some actions if you come across something you need to stop doing that is threatening your mental health, something that you need to start doing if you have not done it before, or something you need to continue doing. So put down your action plan so that when you leave this space, we can leave and take away something. So self-care is our ability to attend to holistic wellness in all the 6 areas I talked about. Those are the areas. Self-care is be able to make sure I'm physically well, emotionally, I'm taking care of my emotions, intellectually, and so on and so forth. Even work, whether it's school or work, I'm doing it well. So let me go to self-care and just tell us or remind us some of the practices that contribute to a holistic wellness. So physical, sleep, exercise, nutrition. How many hours do you sleep? 7 to 8. Do you exercise? Getting oxygen into the body. How well are you eating? Can you calm your body when you are anxious? Sit down and calm your body or take a walk. There's healing through movement, dance, music. That's a physical. Emotional. Tune into emotions. So know when you're angry. Know when you're happy. And don't pretend you're not angry when you're not, for example. And then expressing those emotions in a healthy way. Talk to someone. Do not vent. Talk to someone. Don't hate out at anyone. Take care of the language that you use. Do not keep the emotions down. And then self-reflection and the self-awareness. I know this makes me angry, and so I'm not going to go there in this conversation. I know that when I'm not happy, I don't sleep well. So I'm going to make sure that when I'm worried or anxious, I talk to somebody. That's emotional. Intellectual or cognitive. Cognitive is our thinking. Curiosity in my work. Now, curiosity, even going beyond what I'm asked to do, whether in school or at work, or even at home, makes me learn. And it helps people know that they have a responsible person around. So go around and say, how can we do this in a better way in the office, for example? I'm in a meeting. How can we do this in a better way? How can we make our home a better place, or the house that I live? Then collaborating with those from other professions. Don't just sit alone if you're in IT. Find out how HR do their things, how the marketers work, or whatever it is, and then getting involved. That is cognitive. Have curiosity in life around you, and make sure that you do not hibernate with bad thoughts. And then spiritual wellness is very important, and often many people forget this. Worship, because we are not in the world alone. God is the one who put us here, and we have a purpose. Practicing the spiritual disciplines, prayer, reading your Bible if you're a Christian, or whatever holy book you normally read, helping other people, even isolation, spending time alone, so that you can think and be able to find out where your life is going, and other ways of making your spirituality richer. And then connecting with nature. Get out and take a walk. Watch the insects on the ground, how they work so hard. Just connect with nature. Many of us just pass by and we don't notice what is going on around us. So those are some of the areas that you should care for, including our social wellness, how we link with our families and friends, our peer relationships with our colleagues that are healthy, Make sure your peer relationships are healthy. Attending social gatherings, do not isolate. Now, you may not be able to meet as much now, and really social isolation is affecting so many people because of COVID. So find ways to keep community going, even if it is being in a WhatsApp group and encouraging one another. Occupational, job interest and value the work that you do, and don't long to be elsewhere when you're working. Work hard, and then of course plan later on how you can advance yourself. But value what you do, whether you're working with your hands or with your mind, or sitting on a desk, and even working at school. Use your talents and skills. Do you know your gifts? Do you use them? And then being happy, as I said, with where you are and what you do. So I want you right now to do something for me. There are 11 questions. And I just want you to say yes or no. Don't even write the question down. Put yes or no. Number 1, Y or N. Got it? So number 1 is, are you able to express your feelings? Y or N. So put number 1 and put Y or N. Number 2, are you aware of your own anger? When you are angry, are you aware? Y or N, yes or no? Do you feel comfortable to express your worry when you're worried? Yes or no? Are you able to manage your emotions? Or do you find yourself just venting and angry with everyone or getting depressed? Yes or no? Are you able to set priorities? That is not the most important thing, and keep to it without procrastinating. If you're in school and you have a paper to write, do you make it a priority, or do you find something else takes over? Yes or no? Do you feel free to say no to somebody? Are you able to make decisions with the minimum stress? Or do you find yourself it's a whole week and you have not yet decided? Yes or no? Do you feel secure when interacting with an angry person? Because if you went through life with abuse and anger, you'll find yourself very insecure when you have to deal with anger, but you need to be level-headed. Yes or no? Do you laugh every day? People find this a strange question, but laughter is healing. I wish I had time to tell you the natural ways in which you become healthy and strong when laughter is part of your day. Little children enjoy your presence. Children sense where there is safety. If they enjoy your presence, you're a safe person. If kids run away from you, check why. And 11, are you able to empathize with people in their sorrow? Do you feel people when they are hurting? So those are 11 questions. And the question is, where do you need to improve? And if you're struggling in those areas, you may need to see someone where you see where is this coming from. So if you have more no's than yeses, you may need to talk to somebody and improve the areas where you need to improve. Mindfulness is enriching our mental wellness. And basically, we are saying tap into your senses of smell, touch, taste. That is, don't ignore those areas. That is, when you are eating food, don't eat food on your phone. Taste it. Hear the sounds around you. So get in touch with your senses. Observe nature. That's why I said you go outside. Have quiet time. Time alone. No tablet, no phone, no computer, no friends, just alone. And listen to yourself. Relax. I wish I had time to teach you breathing exercises, but if you need to see a therapist, do so, then you can learn these things. And visit open spaces, I told you that earlier. So when do you seek professional help? When do you seek a counselor? Problems with the sleep? And the doctor says there's nothing physically wrong with you. You're not performing well at work or school or in your home. You have relationship difficulties with the family or friends. You have lots of interest in hobbies that you normally enjoy. Now, this is now pointing to you are pushing your mental wellness to the negative. There's lack of care about normal everyday work tasks. You are anxious all the time and worrying more than normal, feeling overwhelmed or sad for more than 2 weeks. That is pushing you towards depression. Change in appetite, eating too much or too little. Behavior and coping methods have become harmful to yourself. So you find yourself having to take something like alcohol, or you're misusing drugs to be able to be normal. And then you have thoughts to harm yourself or to harm others. If you say yes to any of those things and they're consistent, please seek help. Internalize those quickly. Ask, do I need help? And doesn't mean you are crazy. It means you simply need someone to push you towards wellness or to help you to understand what you do to be better. So I'm coming to an end now because of time. If you're struggling, seek help. And it's okay to seek help when you're not, when you're struggling in any area, mental, emotional, relational, work, that is occupational, even financial. Because at Oasis Africa, we offer you professional confidential care. All our therapists are masters or doctoral psychologists, doctoral level psychologists. We also have coaches in personal development. That is, you find you cannot move on in your career, you do not know what to do. And also we have financial coaches if you're struggling with managing your work. Now, note that all our therapy since the onset of COVID is actually virtual. So you work with your therapist to work on telephone, if you like WhatsApp, if it is Zoom, if it is Google Teams or Skype, there'll be anything there that you want to use. So please note the contacts, and there they are. And if again you find you forget, we can be able to share with someone else later on. Okay, so there I am done, Lorraine. And if I took more time, for about that. So take the contacts. I'll stop screen sharing now.
Wow. Just put your hands together and let's give Dr. Gladys Moeti a round of applause. Thank you so much. What a great way to start our conference this week. This is a very, very important topic, and I'm really glad when we asked, what do we start with? And the young people did tell us mental health issues. And it's really good for you to have walked us through, some of these critical areas in this. So now very quickly, even as you look through the chats, there's been quite an activity going on there. Allow me to introduce our moderator, Mr. Biko Mangula. Biko is a life skills coach, certified mental health coach, equivalent of a counselor, Light University from USA. He's a boy child champion. So boy child, you have a champion in the house. He's a graduate student pursuing clinical psychology and the founder of Safe Hands. This is a Kenyan nonprofit organization that champions issues mental health awareness and breaking the stigma surrounding it. It lobbies for better legislations and empowerment through workshops. They conduct mentorship programs to youth from informal settlements, that's South B and Kangemi, since 2018. It's embarking on wellness programs at the workplace and entrepreneurship and ICT training for the youth. Biko, karibu sana as you take us through the next session with the panelists. Karibu sana, Biko.
Thank you very much, Lorraine. I would want to welcome everyone to this session. This is a session where we'll have some two speakers on the panel. There'll be Dr. Patricia Mugambi and Jackie Mwadime. I'll start with Dr. Priscilla's introduction. Dr. Priscilla Mugambi is a clinical psychologist working as a consulting therapist with Oasis Africa. She also lectures at Riara University. Her background is in child and adolescent development. She has researched on the treatment of suicidal behavior among adolescents and the youth using dialectical behavior therapy. She has also published several articles, one of them being Adolescents' Awareness of Depressive Disorders, and prevalence of suicidal behavior among the youth in Kenya. Our second panelist is Jacqueline Mwadime. She's a mental health practitioner. At the same time, she's a program resource mobilization specialist, youth mentor, and a monitoring and evaluation specialist who works to empower and strengthen the community. She has over 9 years working in both local and international organizations in development programs, focusing on youth, leadership, sexual and reproductive health and rights, advocacy, climate change, and poverty eradication. I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome Dr. Priscilla Mugambi and Jacqueline Mwadime. So to start us off, I'll request Dr. Priscilla Mugambi just to give us her work in regards to mental health and the youth. Karibu sana daktari.
Yeah, thank you so much, Lorraine and Mr. Mwadime. I really appreciate this opportunity. I just feel Dr. Mwiti has exhausted it all. She's talked about almost, in such a simple way, most of the issues she's covered. And since I've just been asked to walk through a little bit on my experience with the young people and mental health issues, mine is just to emphasize some of the things that Mwiti has talked about in concerning to mental health wellness. And on top of that, I'd like to just briefly talk about social media and mental health, as well as just briefly about emotional intelligence. So as Dr. Mwiti has said, on day to day, there are always stressors, as in no one would say that their life is nothing stressing them. And I was just reading the charts as you brought them in, issues to do with family, issues to do with the COVID situation, relationship, finances. All these are many aspects that are likely to lead to mental health issues. And when we're talking about mental health issues here, that means we may have a problem with our cognitively, how maybe in our thoughts, in our minds. We may have issues in our relationship with other people, and also issues coping with our work, with our academic, those who are in school. So it's likely to affect different aspects. And I really appreciate the fact that you brought in that topic, because this shows you are ready and willing to be helped in this aspect of social and psychological well-being. Yeah, Dr. Mwiti has talked about the different signs and symptoms, and she has encouraged you, because in such a talk is mostly to bring the awareness, which is the first step towards getting well mentally. So the first step is that awareness, being aware that in case I have these symptoms, there's a place I can get help. And you who are here, you're also representing so many people out there that in case you feel you have some of the symptoms that she's talked about, changes in sleeping, in eating, maybe withdrawal, you find that you just want to be on your own at this time, especially of COVID, you are disinterested in activities that you used to enjoy, maybe low energy, also addictive behavior. Most of the people get into addictions because they're looking for a solution to their problems. And most of the young people I've talked with would be like, yeah, I started taking this, trying out this substance because someone told me it would help me with stress. So it's very important when the urge at Oasis Africa, when you come for therapy, we'll walk with you and will help you get some of the ways in which you can deal with those urges, because most of the time it's the stress that makes people get into those addictive behavior. And I don't want to go so much into the symptoms because she's talked a lot about them. Just to mention, even when someone has gone through traumatic experiences, which Dr. Mwiti is an expert in, you're likely to experience certain symptoms that will let you know that it's not all well. And you can get help in that regard. If you have those experiencing, maybe you feel like you're re-experiencing what happened through maybe nightmares, or sometimes it could be even vivid, or you want to have, as in you keep on imagining and fearing, you have so much anxiety and fear, and you keep on maybe even trying to avoid, you don't want anybody to talk about such issues. And this happens mostly with people who have gone through trauma. They will not even want to come for therapy. I've had some people saying therapy just keeps on reminding me about what I went through. Yet through these reminders, you're getting to learn skills on how to handle some of the symptoms you're going through, so that you can learn how to cope with them. As in, we call this processing. When you've lost someone dear, like at this time of COVID, there are lots of things that go with this. It's okay, it's very normal to go through that sadness, to go through those extreme emotions, but if it keeps on, if it continues after 1 year, someone is still not, or you're not able even to continue with your work, then this is a call that it's complicated grief. So you need some help. Okay, let me talk just briefly about social media. And with this, I'd like to hear from you through chatting. I'd like to hear, what are some of the things that attract you to social media? What is it that makes you, when you wake up in the morning, you have to check your Facebook, you have to check your Instagram, you have to check your, you have to check your phone, your laptop. Yes.
Dr. Priscilla,
yes,
if I may interrupt a bit.
Yeah.
Later on, we will be having a chance to talk about social media,
okay.
And maybe we will get your feedback on the same.
Okay.
Maybe for now, we can give Jacqueline Wadime a chance, maybe just to give us her work with mental health and the youth. Then later on, we'll get to the aspect of social media. Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for clarifying that. Yeah, so we shall come back to that. Yeah, thanks. I hand it over to Jacqueline.
Thank you so much for this particular opportunity that I've been given this morning to explain about mental health issues, well-being, and emotional intelligence, and particularly in the areas of young people, adolescents, throughout youth, and even late adult life. Dr. Mwiti has given a very clear and in-depth understanding on mental health issues. And without watering anything else, I'd like to first of all, expound more on the issue of mental health. She has given a very good introduction or a meaning of what mental health is. And kindly, may I give you this opportunity to expound more when you talk about mental health and well-being. Now, there are certain factors that you're supposed to consider, particularly on young people. She has explained about the 6 factors, but kindly let me give this opportunity to expound more. There is the physical health, which she has also explained very well. And then there's something that it's very important for us to talk about, and that is identity. When we talk about identity, we're talking about our purpose in life. Yeah, because these are the key things that will help us know you as a person. You can say, I'm in the very good mental health state. Do you know yourself? Why are you on this earth? Why do you think that God has given this opportunity to stay in this earth until now? There's a particular opportunity for you to do. Have you done it until now? There is a dream, there is a purpose. And then let's talk about the ability to meet challenges. Yeah, we are told that young people lack tenacity. We are always good when things are running well in our life, we can be able to actualize our dreams and potential. Maybe there's a job that you've always been eyeing, and that's here you are, you've gotten that job. Money is trickling the left, right, and center. Our revenue streams are overflowing. So by that particular time, it's when now you can say, many people define mental health with money, with happiness. They can be able to purchase this, that. But what about when things hit a roof, particularly issues of COVID-19? You find that a lot of, according to the research done by different organizations, particularly AMREF, 75% of young people were really affected during this particular pandemic. So it means that the inability for you to not meet challenges causes us to be unstable. And then having control over your own life. Yeah, that's a very good factor that young people need to know. Are you in control of your life? Yeah, can you really withstand pressure? And that is pressure intrinsically, that is inside you and outside you. Yeah, we tend to focus so much on the peer pressure, the outside pressure that comes as a result. And even that's why you see before my discussant was trying to talk about social media. Yeah, before that comes in, that's the outside pressure. Look at yourself intrinsically. Can you handle that pressure that comes from inside you? Yeah. Another thing we can talk about is engagement with the community. Yeah. When we talk about engagement in the community is on a whole round perspective. Yeah. Yeah, we can talk, when we talk about community, it can be neighbors, it can be, our surrounding, it can be in our different, social units, can be in school, it can be in churches, Are you really involved in terms of, we say, community engagement? Yeah. There is one aspect that people tend to kind of ignore in life, and that is even young people, particularly because you're talking about issues, this particular International Youth Week. Volunteering, yeah? Can you really say, I want to offer this, time that I have in my young state to do something positive in the society that can really be not you to speak or to kind of implore that I'm in the right frame of mind to go out there and, let's say, clean the environment. Let's say teach children in terms of life skills and other things. So all these things can also speak a lot about you when you engage in the community to impact lives. Another thing is talk about relationship with others. Yeah, these are key factors that enable you to know that indeed I'm in the right frame of mind. When you talk about relationship with yourself and others, yeah, when there's one aspect when in our different trainings that we do, particularly young people, that is life skills. And we say life skills in the category of 3: life skills of self, dealing and understanding with self, life skills of dealing and understanding with others, and life skills of effective decision making. Now, when you say that I'm in the right frame of mind, and that's the mental health that we're talking about this particular morning, many people focus on now the relationship with others. Yes, it's a very key and fundamental thing to do, but we forget to understand that we also have to have a relationship with yourself. Yeah, and that is the same thing I've tried to say. Let's also come down and say the identity, that is self-awareness, yeah, self-esteem, coping with emotions, coping with stress. Those are key things that we're supposed to be look about when we talk about issues of mental health, and that is within, intrinsically, me, myself, and I. Yeah, can I really say that I'm in a relationship with myself? Because I want to say this morning, we cannot say that I will want people to love me out there so that I can feel loved, I can feel well-being, when I myself am not giving myself that critical care. So it comes back from within, outside. Yeah, talking about issues of mental health starts from within. Love, understanding, where you can know if I have gone in a midst of a situation, or maybe I'm in a environment that I feel I'm not comfortable, you can quickly predict and say, I need to move out. If I'm in the wrong company of friends, and you feel inside yourself that I am not in the right frame of mind to work with these particular people, mental health, to be in the correct mental health, it will let you kind of drop these friends, people who are influencing you in a wrong direction of what you want to in life. Yeah, that is the stamina of life. Okay. So that is the key thing that I wanted me to emphasize in terms of looking at mental health in a wholesome perspective. I think I am done. Now, from the 3 key topics that we are kind of discussing this morning, we were supposed to one, causes of mental health issues among young people. Yeah, the 3 things. And then 2, the role of government in dealing with these issues. And then 3, steps to take in dealing with mental issues from a very early stage. Now, my dear participants, particularly young people who have joined this forum, it's very, very important for us to understand this International Youth Week. What does it mean to us? From the theme itself, yeah, transforming food system, youth innovation for human and planetary health. So apart from just the food security issues and this International Youth Week, it is very, very important to note that young people are a very basic population in a society. Let us always not forget about that. We have always been taking hula baloos and shambles to be told that sisi ni vijana wa kesho. No, we are the leaders of today, the leaders of now. And it is very, very important for us to know that having a very correct and health life stamina, in terms of our mental health, it's very, very important, and it's very, very paramount. Now, from the word go, maybe from just explaining about what causes mental health, Dr. Mwiti has explained what mental health is all about. So I don't want to go about and explaining so much about what mental health is. But it's very, very important for us to note one thing. In terms of mental health, when coming from the biological point of view, what comes into issues that makes us to have the inability to control ourselves, and it also brings these issues of, burnouts and stress in our life. It's all about biological. And this is what we inflict inside our body. Yes.
So maybe Jackie, sorry, Jackie,
Mm-hmm.
if I might interject, maybe perhaps you could share, according to you, what are some of the causes of the mental illnesses? Then maybe we can also give a chance to Dr. Mugambi to also give her input on the same.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Now, we can explain among young people particularly, or just generally, I can explain about that. But in and out of COVID-19 pandemic, I think Dr. Mwiti has explained about number 1 issues that are causing mental health issues now, particularly the COVID-19. But let me just explain in a nutshell what can cause, mental health. Number 1, we know that human beings are a social being, and one thing that can cause mental health is social isolation and loneliness. Yeah, you find that in the first era of the first times of COVID-19, there was this total lockdown that caused people to be at home, no going out, it really gave people a lot of restrictions. And that led to young people feel we are not free. Yeah, as a human beings are social beings, and we are kind of born, we kind of created to move, mobile, and so when you kind of restrict someone, an adult, in a confined environment. Yeah? Psychologically, it has been proven that this particular person feels restrained and kind of it brings a lot of repercussions as a result. Then number two, we can say about issues of poverty and lack of social protection. That can also cause issues of mental health. And now in this particular essence, let me speak particularly on young people. Right now, you find that what causes young people to engage in other, immorality, if I can say that, other deviant behaviors, it's because they are not able to achieve or they're not able to access basic commodities because of what? Being poor. So that can also lead issues of mental health, and people feel that maybe I'm a bad luck, I'm a bad omen in the society. Why did God not give me an opportunity to become rich? And then another thing is also lack of employment. Yeah, that can also causes what is it called? Mental health issues. Yeah, we found it was kind of research that a lot of young people lost their jobs, yeah, because there were so many transitions that had to happen, and companies were downsizing, and the number of people who were affected directly or indirectly during the pandemic were young people. And this led to a lot of young people committing suicide, engage themselves in drugs and substance abuse because of that. Another thing is also what I've talked about, the inability of having a coping mechanism. Yeah, I've talked about that, and also Dr. Miti has talked about that. Young people tend to really not be patient. Yeah, it is, I don't know if you can say it's a behavioral factor because it's not natural. We can still learn and relearn and unlearn. Yes, we are supposed to be patient. Nothing comes on a silver platter. Even those who are achieving high-end life, they did not come just from, from the moon. They had planned, they waited, they invested, and also they had patience so that they can be able to achieve what they are achieving right now. But for young people, they tend to see things like a roller coaster. Yeah, we have been termed as a microwave generation. Yeah, where you put food and everything else just comes and it becomes warm and we can be given and eat peacefully. No, life is not a bed of roses. There are sheer ups and downs. So that's in our down moments when things are rough, it has been, it is kind of, many young people tend to lose it and they are affected and become, having a low mental state. Another thing I've also talked about directly, it's issues of using drugs abuse, abusing drugs. And when we talk about abuse of drugs, is the underuse or overuse of drugs. And from the terminology of a drug is any commodity of substance that alters the normal functioning of the body. So when we talk about issues of drugs, yeah, it has also been found that young people are abusing people tend to think drugs as only alcohol or illicit brews. No, even in terms of this, people we have seen even from the internet, people are using the common drugs that are the over-the-counter drugs, yeah, and they are using it in terms of giving themselves, that hush of life, who are due and hallucinating so that you don't have to come to the reality of life. That can also become a factor of mental issues. Another thing is also.
Thank you for highlighting those issues. Maybe we could give a chance now to Dr. Mugambi for her to share, to give us her contribution on the same, according to how some of the causes of mental illnesses. Karibu, Daktari.
Okay, yeah, thanks a lot. Yeah, just to add to what Jacqueline has said, I'd like to categorize them into, there are some biological causes, there are social causes, there are cognitive, and there are also other issues which have to do with the coping. And Jacqueline has actually mentioned most of them. When we talk of about the biological issues, in most cases, when people get to what we call like clinical depression, when maybe the extreme cases of the bipolar, as in their extreme overwhelming emotions, which are really hard to control. This, in most cases, it could have some biological biological causes or origin. For instance, some people are more reactive emotionally, others are less reactive. So in such cases, this requires mostly psychiatrists to help the body, the brain to regulate the aspects in the body. It could be maybe some boost of some hormones. It could be some boost of some of the aspects in the brain, the neurotransmitters. Then the other cause, which most of us have talked about, the social, and among the young people, it affects a lot. It's a major cause of the relationship issues. Most of the young people I've dealt with who are suicidal, it's either for teenagers, the parents are not understanding them, they have conflict at home, or it could be in their intimate relationships. So those could be some of the causes of the stressors. And then actually, yeah, and especially for this time of COVID, when people are isolated, they're not able even to express themselves through maybe like meeting with others socially, having those social events. So those could be some of the stressors. And emotionally, Dr. Mwiti talked about how the behavior is affected by the way we interpret the things that are happening around us, the events we are going through. And sometimes it can cause emotional overload, and some people may lack the coping mechanism. As Jacqueline has said, there's the coping mechanisms. So maybe they don't know how to either deal with their emotions, to regulate, to decrease, and this is likely to cause issues like depression. This is a time when there's a level low, maybe the motivation has gone down, the sadness is extreme, and someone has no even willpower to deal with these emotions, to get a boost. I know Dr. Mwiti was asking about, do you laugh? As you see, at such a time, the emotional overload is just so much that even someone cannot enjoy something, even let's say even some jokes or what, they just want to keep away from anything that seems to elevate the emotions. And then when we talk of the cognitive, most of the people who are likely to get to the, as in they lack the resilience, so they are highly vulnerable to the emotion, to the mental illnesses. They tend to be negative in their outlook of life. They tend to look at life with using the, if I would put the lenses they're looking at is different from the ones who are able to be resilient. So they tend to be pessimistic instead of being optimistic, as in people may have gone through the same challenges in life, but there's one who will be overwhelmed by those challenges and get to serious mental issues. This could be some issues, having even problem in dealing with the trauma that they've gone through in life. It could be having not being able to bounce back from the different challenges in life. So the way we think, the way we set our minds, if we are not looking, and these are some of the things we try to enhance when we are teaching the life skills, when you're teaching the cognitive coping mechanisms. We want to see, how are you looking at just the negatives in life and not being able to pick out the positives? When someone is feeling hopeless, is feeling worthless, someone has a low self-esteem, they're not able to appreciate, or a low self-image, they're not able to appreciate the the good aspects in their life. You know, the way we are told, count your blessings. They are not able to see those blessings in their lives. And so they get so much overwhelmed because our mind is like a magnet that will pick mostly the negatives. So they tend to pick the negatives instead of or focusing on things that will help them instead of motivating them, giving through the self-talk that Dr. Moiti talked about, just helping someone see, especially like this time of COVID, someone is like, will this ever get to an end? Instead of trying to look, what can, how can you continue maybe with your life or make yourself happy despite the challenges that maybe the restrictions, the isolation. Yeah, so, and lastly, I'd like to talk about the coping mechanism in all these aspects. Coping mechanism will determine how a person is able to deal with their social stressors, how a person is able to deal with even regulating their emotions so that they are able to, you know, have that life. As I said before, everyone has aspects in their life that they're dealing with, and how they cope with these aspects will either make them to be depressed, will either make them to be overwhelmed. Maybe it could be the losses they've gone through. So when it's on the extreme and someone is not able to cope with the various aspects in their life, then this is likely to lead to the mental health issues. Yeah, so in all these, sometimes also the coping mechanisms can worsen the situation at hand and so lead. It's like you're adding trauma to yourself. For instance, someone is trying to cope with their stress. They go and take alcohol, they go take some substance of abuse. This is likely to cause even trauma, as most of the alcoholic you'll see, they have trauma because sometimes they've acted in an impulsive way. People may try to cope with the pain they have through some self-destructive or self-harm. There are those who tend to cut themselves. It's bringing some relief, so they're trying to cope that way, but it makes things also worse, so making also affecting their mental wellness. So I'd like to all those who are listening to think of how do you cope when you're going through a stressful situation. The way you cope is, does it worsen that situation or does it make it much better? And that's why we emphasize so much on seeking help. It may not just always be professional help. You could talk to someone who understands, who can help you or give some advice on some healthier way of dealing with the issues you're going through. Yeah, so thank you so much. For me, I think that's what I would add to that.
Okay, thank you, Dr. I think at this juncture, we'll move on to something different. You had mentioned the aspect about media. So at this point, we'll discuss about mental health and the role of media. And do you, maybe this question I'll pose it to both panelists. Do you think that media actually contributes or has contributed to the rise of mental health, illnesses? And bearing in mind the way the media likes to sensationalize issues. So maybe we could start with Dr. Mugambi on your view on mental health and the role of media. Thank you. Maybe you could take like 5 minutes, then Jackie could also take 5 minutes as we move on.
Okay, I'll try to be so brief. Media has its positive aspects and the negative aspects. we all know in this time, especially with our isolation, we've gone through the restrictions, even in movements and all that. So we all understand it'll be so hard, even right now, the way we are communicating without this use of technology or any form of media. So thank God for the internet and different forms of media. Yeah, so, but in relation to mental health, it also has intense negative effects on the mental health, because it also becomes another stressor. A stressor in the way that as people look for validation, look for affirmation through the social media. If that affirmation doesn't come, if you get the negative feedback, then my question is, especially to the young people, how does it affect your self-esteem? If you're expecting people to like whatever you've posted, and the people you expected would be the first ones to like, they don't like it, what do you feel? How does your mood change that day? And also the aspect of comparison. There are those people who will tend to compare themselves with others, because definitely everybody tries to put their very best there in the media. And one may feel like they fall short. And especially as I talked about, there are those who tend to look at life on the negative side. So they may feel like they fall short. And also, there has been a lot of trauma coming through the social media. Trauma, maybe negative rumors from the social media. It could be offensive comments, and especially to the young people, as I've said, I would like to hear also from them. How do they feel when someone has spread rumor, when someone has sent maybe some negative or humiliating whatever comments there, then the aspect of being addictive. Yeah, also another question, what type of addiction, how much time do we spend on social media? Has it affected someone's ability or their motivation to go to school, to go to work? Because maybe someone slept late, as in because of that, media is addictive, as in you want to continue getting more and more from it. So so all those aspects, they are likely to cause mental health problems. They affect the self-esteem, the self-image, those comparisons, and then through that affecting and that trauma that one goes through, all these aspects, they are likely to, and the addiction, they're likely to be stressors that will maybe aggravate the mental health issues. And that's why we also talk about the resilience, because someone may go through all that and see the negative implications, but still be able to bounce back, be able not to be influenced negatively. Yeah, so that's what I'll say. Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you so much for that question. Let me first of all expound more. When you talk about media, yeah, there are different categories or different types of media. And we have got the print media that talks majorly on the newspapers and the magazines. We have got the broadcast media, that's the TV and radio. Then we've got the outdoor or out of home media, the billboards and the what have you. And then now we've got the internet, okay? So looking at these forms of media or types of media, number one thing that I can say that media has got its own pros and cons. It has got its positivity and it has got its negativity. And when you're talking about issues of mental health, media can promote mental health, and the same media can also kind of bring a negative, consequence or negative negativity in terms of how it's used. Just as what Dr. Mugabe has said, it depends on how you're going to use it. Yeah. So when I talk, particularly when we're talking about issues of media and young people, I'll talk about the type number 4, and that is the internet. Okay. And now that can also trickle down in how the other types of media are being used. When you talk about issues of eating disorder, particularly, let me say about the anorexia and the bulimia nervosa, those people who maybe they tend to see their bodies and they've been, through social media, they've been body shamed and bullied. Yeah, we have seen such people going around seeking other types of media to see how they can be fit. And you see how the world right now is, everyone has, I've been thinking that being thin, yeah, is the modest way of living. Those models that are being portrayed out there, they are thin, you know. So those people who are kind of, you know, built or are blessed, if I can use that word, yeah. And those people who by other chance, because of other factors, they are obese, they find themselves that I am not kind of lucky to live in this world. And in that particular moment, because of how media has portrayed other type of body to be, this particular person can end up hating himself or herself. And that can be a number one thing of doing what? Of becoming depressed. Another thing about social media, or I can say about media, there is that pressure that comes as a result of it. We have seen, even in terms of our social media, I was speaking this in another forum, and I was telling young people, do not kind of think that whatever people are posting out there is what they are. Yeah, vitu kwa ground ni tofauti. And number one thing, let us always remember, people don't post their failures. Yeah. You can never see someone posting that by one moment I was in tattered, I was in rags. You'll see people in different various forms of social media. Someone is posting, I'm in the hotel, I'm in a vacation mode, maybe I'm in a plane, I'm touring, maybe I am in I'm visiting the park, etc, etc. You see all these beautiful pictures and people being smart and all happy that are posted via other social media handles or other social media platforms. You'll never see someone posting themselves when they're in tatters or they're in rags, or someone posting him or herself just the way ameamka na matongo, macho yamefura or something like that. No one is going to post him or herself in that particular form. Everyone is sporting themselves with, pimped up, or beautiful, good makeup, good grooming, and someone out there, because they're seeing all this glamour out in the social media, a young person thinks that, and this particular moment, I am not okay because other people are well blessed and, they're all pimped up. Don't always think that other people are better than you. And that is the one thing that is causing young people to have a lot of pressure. Yeah, a lot of pressure that comes as a result of what? Of media. And the same media has also been, number one cause of stigmatizing people who are going through mental illness. So it's at some point, when someone thinks about depression, they think that, oh my God, I'm going to die. When someone is maybe things are talking about schizophrenic or other things, people, media at some point, they kind of, stigmatize people who are going through mental health. Yeah. So in the same way, other form of media can promote it. Like right now, we're using media to talk about issues of mental health. Another form of media can use to tarnish, and bring this public negativity with people who are going through mental health issues. So this can also make people not to kind of have their kind of torn in between. Yeah. But all this, if I can say, from the question that we have been asked, is media a cause of having these mental issues that are coming as a result of it? The answer is how you use it. Yeah, how you use it that is what I'm going to pose. If you're going to use media to kind of improve yourself, to kind of create content that are suitable in the community, to kind of impact lives, that media is going to help you to become a better person this time. But if there's someone who's kind of mute yourself, please. There's someone who has unmuted himself. Admin, please assist me on your end to unmute the person.
Sorry about that. Yes, we've done. Sorry.
Okay, thank you. So just before the distraction, I was saying, if I can be asked the same question, is media a tool that can cause, mental health issues or not? My answer is how we're going to use it. If you use media to groom yourself to become a better person in the society, the media will bounce back to assist you in doing that. But if you use media as a result of now, living a lie, just, not to become that person who is living in the reality. You want to live in a wonder world, yeah? Faking yourself to become a person that you're not, yeah? Entitling yourself and giving yourself names that are not even yourself, Jacqueline, Kardashian or something, living a lie because you have seen someone out there, because this someone is your friend or a colleague who is living that way. So you want to fake yourself before you make it. That same media will destroy you. I think that's my take on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Jacqueline, for your contribution. And as we progress, most mental illnesses affecting the youth begin at a very early age, and they progress. And the age that has been, universally accepted is the age of 14 years. So what are some of the mitigation ways in which individuals can take up in order to prevent this maybe stresses from progressing on to mental illnesses? Maybe I could start with Dr. Mugambi to give us her view on the same.
So there are several ways in which we can mitigate, in which we can try to take care of ourselves or seek help, so that these issues that we've addressed as the causes of mental health issues do not escalate to that level where maybe we are not able to function normally, because when we get to that level where we'll say someone has mental health issues, and Dr. Mwiti made this clear, is that not many people are in a level where they need to be hospitalized. Many people are still going on with their work, but the level of stress is quite high. Maybe they don't have even the motivation. So there are some things we can do so that we don't get to that level where we are so distressed, we are so overwhelmed, where people get to that extent where either they neglect themselves, or they neglect their responsibilities, or to the extreme where they get suicidal. So as we've mentioned, most of it, when it's on the extreme, then we need to seek professional help in the form of medical treatment, though the best of it as a clinical psychologist would be first to be assessed by a clinical psychologist, because what we do even at Oasis, when we come, we'll do a data checkup, because we want to get the diagnosis. Just the same thing you do when you go to the hospital. You have a headache, you have stomachache, the doctors will take you to a lab where in the laboratory they want to see what is the specific issue so that they can treat it well. So when you have those extreme symptoms, it's very important to go seek the help of a profession, so that we can see, it can also enhance the self-awareness, and you can get the relevant help. We also refer to psychiatrists if someone has reached that level, for instance, where they're not functioning well. It could be in terms of being psychotic. This is where someone has hallucination, has delusions, as in you're seeing things that are not there, you're hearing voices that are not there, you're looking at people and you're thinking these are trees. So those are the levels that they would need some medication from a psychiatrist to stabilize you. But as Dr. Mwiti said, most of the cases for people who are continuing on with maybe with their daily activities, then you've not reached a level where you'd need the medication. And so this can be handled with the talk therapy, the psychotherapy, where we sit down, we help identify what are some of the triggers, what are some of the stressors, how can we deal, how can you deal with them? And on top of that, there's some aspects you can also, there are some things you can do on your part to mostly to build resilience. And like what you're doing by being here, you are enhancing your knowledge on mental health. It's a way of you getting that self-awareness so that you're able to address some issues. And with the self-awareness, you're able to monitor like your emotions to get to and see what are those things that trigger some of these symptoms of mental illness. How can I deal with them? Do I need to avoid them if it's social media, as you've heard about media? Is it the media that's making me not appreciate who I am? Maybe have that low self-esteem. So by enhancing that self-awareness, then you monitor, you see, can I do away with this? If you can't do away with it, let's say the stressor is from your academics or from your work, you can do away with this. Then how can you enhance some self-care habits? In the presentation for Dr. Mwiti, she had the different areas of self-care. Where you can take care of yourself emotionally, socially, cognitively, even physically, and physically monitoring your diet, exercising. You don't have to go to a gym if you're not able to. Just doing some workout. These days with the internet, you have those different workouts. Then there's the mindfulness. I like the way Dr. Mwiti also put it, mindfulness, just and getting to be aware of your senses. You can just decide to observe the nature, just let yourself, your mind focus on things that are not really overwhelming, get your mind out of the daily handles. And it could be through some deep breathing techniques where you can decide, and that is increasing the the air in yourself, because sometimes when someone is overwhelmed, when someone is tense, even the breathing becomes constrained. And some of these issues we get, like the tension, headache, sometimes it's because someone is not taking time to relax. So some of the mental health issues can be treated through that self-care, through those deep breathing exercises, the mindfulness exercises, and those relaxation, meditation exercises. And it's very important. Maybe let me just put a caution on this, on the meditation. It's very important for you to check what are you meditating on, because some of these things, they involve some spirituality, which may also be another cause of mental issues. And that's why we mostly emphasize on the breathing techniques and the mindfulness. Then the other aspect is enhancing your social network, positive social networks. Who are those people who can encourage you? Do you have maybe some groups where maybe you discuss things that will help you be able to meet maybe your challenges, meet your goals? Some of these social activities could be enhanced even using some clubs where you're also participating in sports. So it boosts both the emotional, physical, and social wellness. And then another aspect we've talked about is the getting equipped with the coping skills. And this you can get from psychologists, and by learning, especially the way to identify the way in which you reason, the way you view things, trying to get the evidence of some of the things in your life which are being irrational in your mind, so that this would help you to try and look at life in a positive aspect. Because sometimes some of the things, the way we are looking at things could be what is making things to get worse and worse. The relationship that Dr. Mwiti talked about between our interpretation of events, our beliefs with our emotions. So you may be down emotionally because of the way you've chosen to look at things. And here, it's good you get to know your life experiences, childhood life experiences, what you've gone through in your childhood, because I work a lot with the children and adolescents. And why I like this, it's because there are some aspects which, if they're mitigated earlier, some of the way we tend to look at life, some of these things come from our parents, come from the experiences we've gone through in life, earlier in life. So also, if you can seek help earlier, then you're able to mitigate most of these issues. For instance, research shows that depression affects a big percentage of those children who went through trauma in their early childhood, and especially if it's the loss of a dear one during those critical ages of 5, 6, 7, 8 years old. So what I'll say, seeking the help early, not waiting until things are extreme, and enhancing the self-care and some of the other aspects you can do in coping to enhance your social network, to bring that positive outlook of life. Could be just engaging in community work, some aspects like going to help the needy. You get to appreciate where you are in life. What we've seen in the social media, we tend to compare ourselves with those people who are showing how they're much better than us. So by looking at even those people who may not be doing so well in life, could also enhance the wellness. Yeah, so thank you. And I'd like to just ask, even as I conclude this, how are you taking care of yourself? What are some of the things you're allowing yourself to preoccupy your mind in regard to your life? So if you look at that, you'll be looking at enhancing your social wellness, the things you allow to preoccupy your mind, and the way you are taking care of yourself. And just to emphasize on taking care of yourself, you need to push yourself, get out of the comfort zone, doing exercise, having a routine, eating well. It's something that you need to just get out of your comfort zone. And that's why sometimes in therapy or having group therapy would be really helpful, because people get to challenge each other, and that helps. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, that's what I have to say.
Thank you, Dr. Jacqueline, maybe you could give us your views on some of the mitigation measures that can be put in place to curb these mental illnesses from a very early age.
Okay, thank you so much. Actually, before I start, there's something that I want to kind of correct from what you have said. A disclaimer: you have said that mental health begins at the age of 14 years. I want to counter correct that. Mental health begins, it can affect anyone at any age. Even children go through mental health. It's just because they have different ability of understanding. They have not yet kind of come to a mature way of knowing that this is what mental health is. So mental health can affect anyone at any given moment. Kindly know that. Now, back to our question. There's a saying that goes around in issues of mental health. It is okay not to be okay, but not to remain not to be okay. I hope this statement is clear. People tend to have this notion that when I'm not okay, I'm going through mental health. No. Challenges are inevitable. We go through different phases of life. There is the ups and downs, the lows and the ups. But number one thing is not to remain at that particular moment whereby you are in that low moment, okay? Now, from what has been discussed all around, what can make you think that I am going through mental illness? It's very important for you to know that. And what are these what are my precaution measures that I can take to ensure that I go back to my normalcy? Yeah, we are not supposed to fake. Kindly note that we're not supposed to fake. In the era of so many fakeness, if I can use that word, it is very, very important to be real. Real in our down moment, real to know that I am not okay and I need help. And before going even to that particular help status, or I want to seek help, counseling, and what have you, it is very, very important to note that where is my problem? Yeah, and that's why I'm going back again to the issues of identity. Yeah, where am I in the right state and frame of mind that says that I think I need help? Yeah, and this one particularly, it's also something a topic that we are kind of enlightened as counselors, as psychologists, as mental health practitioners, if you can call us. We are we kind of spend a lot of time to help people or to solve problems. But in the reality, in most cases, we do not go back or even seek supervision to enable us to go back to a normalcy. Clean ourselves from the baggages that we have taken from other people's problems and how we have assisted them one on another. It's very, very important to note that. Now, as young people, yeah, one of the key things that can make you feel that I am not in the right state of mind, I think our first presenter, or Dr. Mwiti, was able to explain different occurrence or different situations that can make you think that I'm not in the right state of mind. So I don't want to go back there and explain, but I can just pinpoint some of the characteristics that can make you feel that I'm not in the right frame of mind. If you're one person who is full of vibe, depending on our different personalities, we have got the sanguine, we have got the melancholic, we have got the phlegmatic, we have got the cholerics. But in most cases, you find that in this particular phase of life, you've got the extroverts and the introverts. If by any chance you find someone who is very bubbly, but at some point they just go down and shut themselves up, they don't want to involve themselves in any gatherings or any activities, they're in low energy, they don't want to, they're having uncompleted tasks. I want to do this, but at a moment you're not doing it, you have to review yourself. You're not in the right frame of mind. If by any chance, you're in delusion, and hallucination, or maybe you have got too sleep patterns, change of sleep patterns, that can also be an issue of going back to the, to the first state of your life. You're not okay. Yeah. If by any chance you have got, extreme moody changes. One, yes, we have bipolar, but at some point you find one time you are very happy and then you sulky, moody. You have to go back to the drawing board and think, what is the cause of all this? And if we tend to understand ourselves in the particular measure and understanding ourselves deep down, it will be very, very important. And again, as a life skill coach, yeah, as a trainer who has been involved in different, and consulting with different government projects, especially the Kenya Youth Employment and Opportunity Program, for close to around 12 years. It was KEPSA, KYUP, now it's KYEOP. And most of these young people that we have kind of, trained and helped in this particular program of life skills, we tend to look our life as a tree, okay? There is the background values, yeah? The background values now states about where you've come from, our home, yeah? Our family tree, yeah? That can also be a number one factor that's causing mental illness or mental stressors, I mean. We find that people who have maybe been brought up by stepmothers, okay, those who are harsh, of course, not all stepmothers are harsh, but if a child has been born in a surrounding where he or she is not welcomed, he has always been, neglected, he has not been given that love and belonging according to Abraham Maslow, hierarchy of needs. You find this particular person who don't have physiological needs, no good clothes, no grooming, this particular person has maybe denied education. As this young person grows up, first of all, he or she will have that, they're not going to love themselves. So the issue of self-awareness, self-esteem will be very low. So this particular person, to fall trap to any person, peer pressure, just go with the wave of life. Itakuwa ngumu, because this is person who from the word go, he or she has not been given that, solid foundation to be loved and to go out there and view life as a what? As a good, opportunity for him to groom or to capture opportunities, or maybe to have a good life whatsoever. So you see, in this particular tree, the roots, that the background values now are causing us to have the trunk, that is the belief systems and the values. And then now it's the fruits of now not loving yourself, the fruit of denial, the fruit of seeing the world being unfair every time. This is someone who's not going to be happy. This is someone who's going to have low self-esteem. So you see, whatever is has kind of compounded us from our young age is now has a trickling effect in our future. So it is very, very important as we are viewing, as we are growing up, and even for those maybe who want to start families and those who are having families, it's very, very important to go back to the drawing board. Look at how you have been raised up. It's very, very important to go back. Now let's talk about self-awareness now. The life skills of dealing with self. Yeah, go back and see, maybe are there behaviors or symptoms, I can say, that have picked from my younger age that are now causing me to behave in a certain angle that is not happy. It is not what's the best word to use? It's not advisable. It's not a good behavior for me to have. Those who psychologists say that those who have this tendency of having what is it called, drug abuse, or maybe alcoholism, or even those who are having sex addiction. These are people who, for some reasons, they were having other issues when they have grown up, and they never saw that as a hindering block for them in the near future. Those people who at some point are growing up to become, people who are maybe a bit wife batterers, those who beat their wives, or it's because this is someone, maybe for some reason, they've been brought up in an environment whereby they used to see their mothers or even their sisters being beaten. So they saw that as a normal way of them to turn out their aggression. So you see, so when you're growing up, it is very, very important to go back to our drawing board. Look at our family tree. Look at our tree of life. Which are these behaviors that maybe I have picked when I was young, and when I'm growing up, I am seeing that these are things that I'm not supposed to have. It's not going to be easy, as you have been told. It's not going to be easy, but you can get there with the right help, with the right frame of mind. We have seen people who learn and unlearn in the process, and they become better people in the society. Another thing I want us to also to note, there is no manual of saying that, everything is perfect. Yes, we are here to assist each other, but even as we believe, even I as a person, I've got my own weaknesses that we tend to try to kind of become perfect. So let us delete that notion in our back of our heads that there is this perfect being or this perfect person. We are all trying to be perfect in our imperfectionness. It's just a matter of having an equilibrium. Look at in which surrounding am I supposed to behave, in which way for me to become a better person. And I believe when we all have to have a great mindset, read good books, involve ourselves in good media, internet vibe, of course, connectiveness, becoming religious, connecting with our maker, that is God. I believe we're going to get there. Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Jack, for that. As we're almost approaching the tail end of the panel discussion, late 2019, the president formed a task force to look into the state of mental health in Kenya. And just recently, was it a month ago, I think a month ago, there was a report that had been done that there were over 400 suicide cases in Kenya, something that had not been reported ever in the history of this country. Bearing that in mind, maybe if I start with Dr. Mugambi, what do you think is the role of the government with dealing with the with the rise of the mental illnesses in our country? Perhaps you could be given 5 minutes, then Jacqueline could also come in and give her view. Over to you, Dr.
Yeah, this is a really important aspect because, the government has a responsibility to take care of its citizen, especially on aspects that are very important to the citizen. And since this mental health issue, as you've said, we've all seen in the media the many cases of this suicide, which means mental health issues is a big problem. And just this, the same way you see this is a pandemic, the COVID, the government has gone out of its way in trying to even make the services affordable. Right now, you can get your mask at 10 shillings, which was something which was not there before. Yeah, for me, I feel the government needs to enhance their mental health services, the mental health care, looking at the different hospitals. And actually, the government has done a good work, even in the different public health facilities, especially in aspects to do with psychiatric, having psychiatric wards, and also personnel who are trained in especially the treatment of mental health issues. Though still, I feel there's a gap, because the major majority that we are talking about, even the ones who are committing suicide, these were not people who had the clinical levels of mental health. They were, most of them, maybe they've not even had, they've not had a need, or they've never to go to the psychiatric hospitals. And there seems to be a gap that in most of the hospitals, we don't have those the counselors, the psychologists. Though we have this in the major hospitals like Kenyatta Hospital for the young people, the government has really put professionals, the youth department, where they deal with these mental issues. But talking about the costs, there's a need for the government to employ and to have youth centers where the young people can go, not just within the city, even outside of the city, in the different, at the county level, in the different areas, maybe the hospitals, the schools. And in this, I would say most of the researches that have been done, they have a part where we do the recommendation to the policy makers. And I would say some of the aspects that I recommended, especially to the policy makers, after doing a research on suicidal behavior in high schools and finding that 21% of the students in the school have suicidal behavior. And this is a high level. It's not just the thoughts of suicide. These are people who have gone to suicide planning, and some have attempted. Some of the recommendation was, let's have professional, not just the teacher counselor, let's have someone like a psychologist, someone who just specializes in mental health issues in a school setup. I know the government has also helped and tried to push this through the Ministry of Education, where in the schools, each school is supposed to have a counselor. Though the problem is that most of the time, those counselors, they are also teachers. And so from some researches I've done in the high school, most of the students are not comfortable seeing a teacher because they feel like the aspects of confidentiality are not well addressed. So and that's why centers for the youth, and I would like even to hear, since here we have the youth, I would like them to also to put their comments there. When they were in school, how often did you ever go to seek counseling from the teacher? If there were centers where maybe where you're not known and you know these people are well equipped as psychologists and counselors, would you go there to seek help? So for me, I feel the government definitely, because the young people, as we know, they're struggling in so many ways, as they're looking for the way of empowering youth in different ways. Maybe the businesses that you are carrying, they need to also make the mental wellness a priority. Put those centers in different areas, and then have the campaigns, not just on these memorable days for the mental health week, but make it to be something which is consistent. Like what you people are doing, I really appreciate this being the health week, as in it's the same thing. The government, wherever they are addressing the issues of and not just the youth, because among those people who have committed suicide, they are not just young people. In the report, they were saying the oldest was 76. Many middle-aged people are also committing suicide. And when you ask them, they'll say they had those suicidal thoughts when they were young. And that's why I said my heart is usually mostly to the young, because most of these people, they had those suicidal thoughts when they were young. It could be maybe they didn't have the skills in regulating their emotions. So because they didn't get that intervention early in life, they've grown up with this until they reached a point where they just had to take their lives. Yeah, so and then the government also needs to work with the social media. Not just social media, with the media, the mass media, the different types of media that Jacqueline talked about, and to campaign on issues to do with mental health, because I'm not really sure that most of the people who have mental issues are seeking help. These are really small percentage of people that's seeking help. Most of those people who are attempting suicide, those who have died of suicide, most of them, maybe they were not even aware that they have a problem. And through this media, then try to remove the stigma. Remove the stigma. Another recommendation I made, especially on the aspect of suicide, was the government to decriminalize suicide. When someone attempts suicide, they are treated as a criminal. They're usually taken to the police and just treated the way you'd treat a criminal, though at least of late, there's also the awareness where some of them are taken for evaluations to the especially psychiatrists, the mental health personnel. But that aspect that someone can have a mental illness, you can just imagine you're sick and then you're treated like a criminal. This is what is causing stigma. And that's why most people will not say that they are suffering with a mental illness because of the stigma, because already from the law in whatever those the penal codes, this is the one for who attempted suicide, the criminal implication of that. Yeah, so this need from topmost, from the government, the policy makers, to get to know about this mental health is real. It's affecting people, and so enhance the campaigns and remove the stigma. Yeah, so that the young people can be encouraged to seek help and also make these services affordable to the young people. Also recognize that out there we are training many professionals in counseling and in psychology. So also to let them take the campaign and this type of work in different parts of the country. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jacqueline, what are your views on the same in regards to government, and is government doing enough to fight this fight against mental health?
Thank you so much for that question. First of all, I'd like to congratulate the president for the initiative of coming up with the board that is kind of concerned about mental issues in Kenya. That is a very good step, which for a long time it hadn't been, invented, or maybe it was in consideration, but maybe it was having a snail pace. Another thing, first of all, it's our constitutional right. Let me say that the Constitution in the chapter Article 43, it says that it is our constitutional right to have what? To access not only health, but quality health. So all this that you're talking about today, it's our fundamental constitutional right. And the government has done quite a bit, but not like they're not yet there. Yeah, they still have a long way to go. We have talked about issues of mental health. Yes, it's the International Youth Week, and maybe our topic has kind of been surrounded young people, but we know that mental health, I've just from saying that mental health can affect anyone from childhood to adulthood, even late adulthood. So it's very, very important for the government to try harder to, capture the attention to all these people throughout the face of life. Children, adults, we talk about now children, adolescents, yeah, how the face of life, cuts across. Then you have adolescents, then you have both the adults, then the young adults, the late adults, then the old. All these are supposed to be what? To be captured with information so that they can know how to control themselves when they have found themselves in a situation whereby they are in the wrong frame of mind, or maybe their mental health is at stake. So we are talking about young people. What about the old? Yeah, we know very well that even amid this pandemic of COVID-19, people are having panic attack left, right, and center. The old they are kind of worried. Yeah, each and every time they're kind of, even with the vaccination, they're not even sure if they're going to, make it in the next, let's say 1 year, or even they're going to see the next year. So all these things are coupled with a lot of anxiety, people they have kind of, little information on how they can be able to control themselves, on how they're going to, seek help in case of such, behaviors, come about. So it's very, very important for the board to go out and, disseminate information to or across board, the marginalized society. They need to be here. They need to be heard. I mean, they need to be given this information. And I think the government can come in and talk about issues of family and, marital factors. We have seen that the rise of gender-based violence has really caused a lot of death. Yes, we're talking about issues of suicide and other things, but as a result of what? We see men being battered, we see women being battered, and it's like people have taken as if it's normal. No, people are not supposed to handle, issues with violence. It is not let's not normalize that. The young generation need to know there are better ways of handling conflict, but not, necessarily, being involved in violence. So this particular task force needs to go out there and talk about, issues of family and marital factors, so that people can know that, yes, if by any chance I'm married and I'm having issues with my spouse, the best thing to do, not to ifike wakati, or not to ifike wakati kwamba I'm depressed, or I'm in a issue, the wrong frame of mind. I'm going through mental issues because my spouse is stressing me. What am I supposed to do, or how am I going to seek counseling as a result? All these things need to be captured. The government is in control of that. Another thing, let us also try to motivate the frontline workers who are involved in addressing these issues of health, or in addressing issues of any health practitioner. We have seen doctors who are demanding, to be their well-being during this pandemic. It is very stressing, whereby someone is kind of, someone who is sacrificing his or her life to save others, and then in the end of it all, he or she ended up losing his on the process. So all this, the government needs to take control of that and to ensure the well-being of these frontline workers in this particular era, to advocate for good mental well-being and also good mental health. And then also, it's very, very important for the government to have this, just as what Dr. Mugambi has said, not only youth centers, but youth centers who are advocating for youth meaningful engagement. Yes, if we go out in other civil rights societies and other non-governmental organizations, they are always promoting for youthful meaning engagement. We have hearing all around, even in right now, we have got this mantra of wheelbarrow, Tangat, hustler nation, or other thing. But the truth of the matter is, are young people meaningfully engaged in the process? We don't just want to be given, tokens, or, just being given, small money to kind of, ease our pressure at that particular moment. It is very, very important for us to be given long-term solutions to have opportunities that are going to not only improve our lives at this particular moment and this electioneering period, but even to in eternity, giving us strong, social amenities, strong investment and infrastructure that can help us to build a career. Another thing also, it's very, very important to make education accessible. Right now, we are trying to make education surrounding issues of mental health accessible. It's very, very important to have this, information, of how people can be able to go again and read, have a wide view understanding in the issue of mental health, and how they can be able to do what? To assist themselves and even others as well. Another thing, it's very, very important, in the government needs to kind of, fast track the process of having youth informational centers, counseling facilities in every county. And when I mean every county, even in the smallest villages where information has been, denied. We have got people who I can say they're living in this 21st century, and they don't even know what, let's say even computer is. They don't even know what the internet is. Yeah. So let us always try to digitalize information. And it is very, very important how the world space is turning out to be. We see in the era of the fifth revolutionary. Right now we have the era of robots and AI, artificial intelligence. Yeah, so it's very, very important. It will be very, very absurd when my grandmother back in the village will one time, go to the hospital, maybe come the city and see a robot, for that particular essence, giving information. And this particular person, my grandmother, has never even known that such technology exists. So it's very, very important for the government to take charge in digitalizing, information, so that we have said, number one thing, let the information not only on mental health be accessible across both the young and the old, because we are all part of the statistics. Last but not least, it is very, very important, to create employment and opportunity. Young people need employment and opportunity. It is very, very important, the government to create enough, sufficient employment and opportunities. Yes, we have seen that each and every time they say the government is broke. No, the government is not broke. Why am I saying that? It's because we are seeing left, right, and center where corruption cases have been unearthed. Yeah, you hear this certain ministry A, billions have been lost, ministry B, billions. So all these billions can do something, to ensure that young people are given, not only enough but adequate resources to do research, to create employment, to maybe apply funding opportunities, to go abroad and study, and even benchmark. We are seeing leaders, spending a lot of money in going to international trips and benchmarking. But when they come back, what are they doing as a result? Is it all about leisure? Not recently. So it's very, very important for the government to do that. And also, as part of having a good, well-being and mental health, it's very important for people to have leisure. Yeah, there's a saying that says, work without playing makes Jack a dull boy. This is a saying that you used to know back then when you're a child. Yeah, so it's very, very important in the era whereby we are saying that Jenga Kenya, Okoa Kenya. Let the government, try to promote domestic tourism. Let people be given that opportunity, maybe even to be given subsidized rates in maybe visiting the parks and other recreational facilities, to just calm down, amidst all this pressure and hustles and bustles of life, to be okay and feeling that, hey, this life, it also has its, sheer happiness and, other part whereby you need to love and have fun. So if all this without, and more can be done to ensure that people are living a life where they feel supported and cherished, I feel we can do better. Without further ado, I think that's all I have for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. At this juncture, I give each of you just 1 minute, and I mean literally 1 minute, to give your final thoughts. I'll start with Dr. Mugambi. Your closing remarks.
Okay, yeah, thanks a lot. I'll try to make it 1 minute. And in that minute is just challenging the audience to pick something from what we've said and practice, and don't start from a big, as in, don't take a whole, a full plate. Just take bite by bite and see what you can apply. And also in relation to this, as in looking at the symptoms we've talked about, the causes, a practical way to deal with, to mitigate the mental health, I would ask you first to learn to monitor yourself, get to know how you're doing, as in put that as a, as a scale in which you can be able to check yourself, like a weighing balance, to check yourself, how, maybe in a day, how is my motivation today? How has my sleep been? How are there changes in my emotions? So self-awareness is a first step, getting to know yourself. And then if you find there's an issue in relation to mental health problem, check what are the triggers. What could have caused this? Is it because maybe of peer pressure? Is it because I'm really going through a hard time? Maybe I've lost a dear one. Or is it because maybe of these financial constraints, which are a reality, especially at this COVID time? So get to know, after studying yourself, if you see you're not so well, what is that trigger? What is causing? And what are some of the underlying issues? Is it because if I have a low self-esteem, is it because my mom, my teacher always said these negative things about myself? So after getting that realization of yourself, then come up with practical steps on what do I do? If you are always told that, let me just give an extreme example, you will amount to nothing. What is that you can keep telling yourself and encourage yourself, looking at life in an optimistic way? What is that you can encourage yourself to make yourself continue to have hope, to know that there's still a great tomorrow and future for you? For those who are Christians, I like that Jeremiah 29, that he has a good plan and hope and a future for you, to prosper you. So despite maybe, because without that, if you're in a situation where you are unemployed, you won't have the motivation to continue applying for jobs, to start your own hustle. Yeah, so and then look at in those practical steps, after you identify, get the self-talk, accumulate enough positive things you can say concerning your life, and then have a plan on self-care holistically. So use the 5 aspects for holistic self-care: social, emotional, spiritual, cognitive. Yeah, so for me, I feel with that, if you come up with a plan and then you plan also on implementing, this will be quite beneficial to you. And if you're well, go out there and enhance this self-awareness, help others also get to know more about the mental wellness, and that it's not a weakness to seek help. So finally, yeah, get to know it's not a weakness to seek help. If you have a problem, you will, that rating scale that Dr. Mwiti gave us, there's a question where you are answering yes, no. If you notice that you have so many of the yes, it's not a weakness for males, for females to seek help. It's all, it will help you in the long run. It will make you more productive. It will, and it can save you. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Because of time, Jacqueline, what are your closing remarks?
One of the great questions that I need to pose to everyone here in this particular podium, or this today's, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being, being the highest and 1 being the lowest, how will you rate your overall well-being today at this particular moment? Yeah, it's a rhetorical question. It's very important for us to introspect and think about that. Now, I was in another forum, and one of the speakers said that COVID-19 is and was a blessing in disguise, because it was a pandemic that took us home, yeah, the core purposes of life. And come to think of it, it is very, very true. We found that in the midst of all, how the world was going about, everyone was just revolving around power, money, fame, name it all, but they are forgetting themselves. And people forgot about themselves, and which is the core, core fundamental aspect of our lives. And that's why we find, because you're forgetting ourselves, other issues in the end of it all hit us so bad. And that's why we're talking about issues of mental health. Now, there's one, I have two, abbreviation or two key, aspect that I usually use in my different, practice. And I think I just want to share as we end this particular discussion. And number one is what we call home, nyumba, H-O-M-E. And H denotes, or it's the meaning of H being home, and then O is opportunity, and then P is people, and then E is environment. This is a framework that is usually used by health practitioners in different practice to instill the virtues of mental health. If we talk about home is where life begins. Yeah, I've spoke about that, and think even, and I believe also Dr. Mugambi spoke about that. When we talk about issues of going back and introspecting ourselves from our home values, charity begins and from the different character that we have picked from our home. It will also speak a lot on how we are going to deal with issues surrounding our life. Opportunity, yeah, how do you view opportunity? We have seen this information was shared in the different platforms. Some of us took it and some ignored it. So, and this is all, it's what is important even in our lives. We will be given so many things in front of our eyes, but it's a matter of how we are so quick to, to pick these opportunities and make them meaningful and also impactful in our lives. People, who are you engaging in your life? They say, and then show me your friends and I will tell you the kind of a person that you are. Who do you spend most of your time with? The people who are in your life, your circle of life, your social, your social, they say social investment, your social aspects, those people that you spend your time with, are they building you or they're destroying you? It's very, very important to look about that. Build your social system, yeah? Build your social people who can pick you up at your downest moment without judging you or without seeing that you're a failure. It's very, very important. And then last but not least, environment. Environment, the place that you stay, look at it in a very broader perspective, yeah? Even the books that you read, it's part of our environment. What you feed our mind, it's part of that. So it's very, very important if you're going to look about in such this acronym of home, that will also make us feel home in how we're living our lives. And then apart from that, this is the first acronym. The second acronym is what we call CHIME. Yeah, CHIME of C-H-I-M-E. And C means connectedness. Yeah, H means hope and optimism. And then I is identity. M is meaning and purpose. And then E is empowerment. As a young person who is very passionate with issues surrounding young people, I tend to tell them one thing. It is very, very important to be connected. Connected in terms of having strong social networks. It's very, very important to be connected in terms of how the internet and the world, is moving around. It's very, very unfortunate when people don't even know what's happening in the society. It's very, very important to be connected. And then hope and optimism. It's what we're trying to emphasize in this world we're living in. Yes, things are not just going to come on a silver platter, even whatever we're discussing right now, in terms of building our networks, in terms of building our lives, recollecting ourselves. It's not just going to be an easy walk in the park, but trust me, you with hope and optimism, we will get there. Yeah, it depends on how we look, the attitude we have towards all these things you're doing. And then identity. It is very, very important. I talked about this prior. Identity is key. And this is what we tend to have it even in life skills. Self-awareness, know about yourself. It is very, very important to understand yourself. What do you want? What is your purpose? What do you want to achieve? Yes, I schooled maybe in nursing, but maybe my field is in journalism. It is very, very important to know what I want in this life, yeah, and what God wants me to achieve by the end of it all. And then meaningful and purposeful. Yes, I want to do this, but is it meaningful? Is it purpose? I can talk all these things in the world, but what am I doing to enrich people who are out there and they need my services to make them feel better? Today and if last week, 2 months down the line, there's someone out there who just needs you to a ray of hope from you to tell them, you know what, it's going to be better. Just focus and do, and focus about other things that are going to be of benefit and not look about the negativities. Then last but not least is empowerment. Don't always get stuck to be where you are. It is very, very unfortunate when you remain in the state that you are. Always aspire to do more. Always aspire to go beyond your comfort zone. And that will always make you to achieve. There's always one thing that I always tell some my mentors and even the mentees I mentor in my various engagements. Fear to remain in your what can I say? Fear to remain the employee. Always aspire to do more. Always read books. Always go, and beyond your comfort zone and achieve the maximum, actualization. And I believe nothing is impossible. Thank you so much, and may God bless you.
Yeah, let me take this opportunity to thank Dr. Mugambi and Jacqueline for their contributions. I think what I can take from Dr. Mugambi is the aspect of self-care, and from Jacqueline, the two acronyms of HOPE and CHIM. So at this juncture, we have reached the point whereby we will seek for reaction from the participants. Maybe Lorraine, you would guide us on how to go about this?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much. This has been a really, really engaging conversation. And very quickly now, so that then we move into the vote of thanks, we'd like to get participant reaction. I know many of you have been asking for the Q&A session. And if you have any questions at the moment, please don't hesitate. You can raise your hand and we will pick you out, and then you can ask your question. I did see one question, and I think this was from Joe Kemani, who was asking which institutions and course name can one enroll in to be trained as a psychologist or mental health specialist? Any of our experts still here can answer?
Yeah, I'm not so sure at what level Joe is asking about psychology, but I can just give an overview, because at the certificate diploma level, it's usually called counseling, but then psychology at the graduate and graduate level, you just need to search. In Kenya, we have so many universities which are offering psychology. There are different types of psychology, mostly at the undergraduate level. It's that they have the counseling psychology. For some institutions, it's a major, as in you just take that on its own. And they also have a combination. Personally, I'm trained at Daystar University, but I know other universities, even USIU, they have, and yeah, so many other universities have started that. At the postgraduate level, you'd also get the counseling psychology or the clinical psychologists. There are also other forms of psychology, child psychology, and yeah, okay, in Kenya, I don't think we have lots of variety, like the media psychology, but yeah, I think with that information, you can just go search, because in Kenya, most of the universities are offering psychology, and also we have the short courses, which are on the counseling, like the Amani Counseling Center. They have several courses, like maybe family issues, different therapy type of, yeah, different therapies you can take. Yeah, I hope that helps.
All right, thank you. Alex, you had a burning question. Alex?
Thank you for the panel, and I appreciate it. I'm learning a lot from this. My question was, let's say how can you do first aid to someone who requires mental health, but is not willing to do it? First aid, by first aid is, personally, I'm not a counselor or anything, but you get an opportunity, you get to meet people who require some help, say suicidal or something. How do you deal with it before you get to meet, before that person gets professional help? How does one do it?
Thank you. That's a very interesting question. Dr. Mwiti, Jackie, or Dr. Mugambi, any of you can answer?
Okay, that's a very good question. Actually, my specialization is trauma, and we are the ones who have put together massive community level interventions, all the way from Rwanda, and then Nairobi bombing, Westgate. So for me, I'm a proponent that every person, adult, need to be trained in psychological first aid, because that is not something you just wait for professionals to do. So, and it's not difficult to do, but I propose we train everyone in this country. But before that happens, start where you are. First and foremost, do not look down on the skills that you have, the skill of understanding there's something wrong, the skill of presence, I am with you right now. So you start not trying to tell someone anything, but by listening. Find out what they need. So the needs of the person is what drive your intervention. So take, for example, someone comes and tells you, my child just disappeared. I think they have been abducted. Okay, so you say, hey, tell me more about it. So remember, keep calm. Tell me more about it. What happened? When did it happen? Who was involved? What does a parent think happened? Caused it. So listen first, because you need to enable the person to calm down. We don't think well when we are really scared and we are screaming and shouting. So listen, give them the listening first. Don't tell them anything. Don't advise them anything yet. Let them talk. When they get calm, they can now be able to remember the child was playing. I think the child so-and-so was playing with them. Okay, so where do you want to start? Maybe you can ask the mother of that child. So give them what they need. Even if they're so scared, they are shouting, give them a glass of water. So start with their needs, and then find out what can be done then and what is available. Who is available to assist them? Do you go to report to the police? Do you go to a social worker who is in the area? Is there a children's officer or whatever? So find out what they need and supply the need and connect them with the services already available. All the time you are their safe place, you become their pillar of strength, and you're helping them to think, where do we go next? Yeah, what do we need to get there? Who else do you want to get involved? So give the calm and connect them with the services. That is the first aid. And then don't just let them go. Support them as much as you can. Link them with other support systems. If it is an adult, of course, saying my child is lost, it's like, who can assist you right now besides me that you've told? I think I can call my sister. How far is your sister? Okay, let's go ahead and call the sister. So don't leave them until you have connected them with other support systems that can carry on where you stopped. And when the support system comes in, brief the support system. This is what you have done so far, and take over from there. So that is what actually the person needs at that time, because the help they require, other people can take over from you. What was the other question again? The second question was?
My second question. My second question was, let's say someone is having self-harm thoughts, and I cannot get to see I cannot get to have them see a professional yet, because the person is not willing to do this.
Okay, so with the self-harm, remember at the end of the line, you don't want to leave it unreported. Self-harm is reportable to authorities, but you begin by calming the person down. Let them tell you what it is about. Remember, they have a lot of energy, they want to hurt themselves. Is calm them down, tell them it's okay, I'm here. You can talk to me. Things may not be as bad as you think they are. Tell me, what is happening? Why do you want to hurt yourself? So you calm them down. And then you tell them, now we need to seek help for you, because hurting yourself is not the best way to do things. Let's get help for you. Look for hope. Any ray of hope. Okay, are you in high school? Yeah. Wow. What do you want to do for your future? I don't want to do anything. No, tell me. What did you ever dream of becoming? Focus on any item of hope that they might be having at that particular point. Calm them down. Again, do the first aid. Ask them, what do you need? Who do you need to talk to right now? I can call them for you. By that time, the energy that they are going to use to hurt themselves is actually going down. Have you tried this before? Knowing that if they have tried before, they can actually try again and succeed. Once again, connect them to help. But if you're the first one they told and still you connect to help, you need to ensure that another adult in their lives reports this. And actually the first person to report to is the police. It's criminal to want to hurt yourself. Or if there is a mental health specialist near, link them straight away with a mental health specialist, because the specialist can be then the one who reports, because it is criminal. But then offer the first aid. And I think it was Jacqueline who said we should not criminalize those who want to hurt themselves, either Jacqueline or Dr. Priscilla. So do something, bring them down. And the very last thing you do is, I've connected you to help. I want you to promise me one thing. Don't hurt yourself until you'll get help. Don't hurt yourself. So do some form of contract. Even if it is taking a piece of paper and writing it down. Okay, write my name here, Moses. I've talked to you, Alvin. You have promised you're not going to hurt yourself, and I've connected you to help. Sign here. Cognitively or mentally, signing on a piece of paper, I have promised not to hurt myself, in itself is a safekeeping act that they have done there and then. They know they promised. So don't leave them until you hand them over to a relative or to a medical person, and the worst being the worst, to the police, if there is no adult to refer to. Okay,
fantastic. Yes, thank you very much, Alex. I hope you're in a better place now to offer first aid help. And because of time, and I can see that we are almost close to 12, I will ask our specialists and experts to perhaps answer some questions that are online privately, maybe on the chat to the young people that have asked the question. Now, allow me to introduce Hilary from Hilary Kimani from Team Set Africa to just give a vote of thanks as we come to an end of this session.
Kimani Hilary, the customer and marketing lead at Team Set Africa. I would like to first say thank you to the panelists for the knowledge they have shared, their insights and everything. We are grateful. The keynote speaker, Dr. Gladys Mwiti, for your time, the insights and everything that you have shared. We are grateful. Our panelists, Dr. Priscilla Mugambi and Jacqueline Madime, the engaging session, the answering of the questions and the depth in which you have covered the topics that have been brought across. We would also like to thank our moderator, Biko Mangula, for conducting such a seamless session. We are grateful. Also to the audience for finding their time amongst their busy schedule, the engagement, the company, and the questions and contributions they have asked throughout the session. And of course, we would like to thank our partnering company at Crorain Life Events for this partnership and the opportunity that the organization has provided. Thank you. And perhaps before I wrap it up, I'd like to request the participants, we'll have an NPS form circulated. I'd like to get the feedback. Asante sana. Crorain, back to you.
Thank you very much. Do you want to share the NPS form here? So that
Yes,
they can click on the link here? Yeah, please share on the chat so that they can click on the link. So once again, thank you very much. Remember, from 2 p.m., we will have yet another engaging conversation. Now that we've handled our mental health and we are aware of what ails us and what causes mental health, for example, in the afternoon, then we want to look at emotional intelligence. Now that we've handled this one bit, how then do we deal with our emotional intelligence? And we have an amazing, amazing panelists yet again this afternoon. So I encourage all of you, please spread the word, let the people know that we will be having another powerful session from 2 o'clock. To our panelists, to our keynote speaker, to our moderator, we want to say a big, big thank you. Continue following Epic Lorraine Life events and Team Set Africa online on all our social media platforms, even as we celebrate this International Youth Week and as we commemorate the day on Thursday, the August 12th, which is actually the International Youth Day. We will have quite covered a number of issues that affect us as the youth. So thank you very much. Have a beautiful morning and see you at 2 o'clock. Asante sana. God bless you all.